across industries, tech startups, government contracts, and large corporations. And let me tell you, I have seen agile sprint crash, waterfall timeline collapse, and entire projects burned to the ground simply because people misunderstood these methods. So, if you are a student or a professional or a team leader looking to improve your project success rate, then this video is for you. So, let's start the video without wasting any more time.
Welcome to this deep dive into one of the most important debates in project management, Agile versus Waterfall. Now, let me ask you something. If you were building a skyscraper, would you change your design halfway through construction? Probably not. But if you were building a mobile app, would you release it only after 3 years of planning and coding? Definitely not either. This is why Agile and Waterfall exist. They serve different purposes. Yet, companies around the world are struggling because they are either blindly following trends or stuck in outdated systems. I'll give you an example. A small startup I worked with insisted on using Waterfall. They wanted every detail documented upfront. By the time they launched, their competitors had already released three products version using Agile. They were late to market and lost momentum. On the other hand, a government project I observed tried to go agile. They had no backlog, no sprint reviews, and no trained scrum masters. It became chaos, and eventually they went back to rigid processes. Today, I'm going to give you a full 360-degree view of Agile versus Waterfall. You'll hear real life success stories, massive failures, the hybrid secret NASA used, and most importantly, a decision framework to choose the right one. So, buckle up. This is going to be detailed, eye opening, and by the end, you will know how to save your project from becoming just another failure statistic. Now, the next question, which one will fail your project? That's an interesting one. Here are the shocking stats. According to the Standish Group Chaos Report, nearly 70% of IT projects either fail completely or don't meet their original goals. That's right, most projects are falling. And guess what? The methodology is often to blame, or rather, the wrong methodology in the wrong place. Let's break it down. Agile can fail because team thinks it's just about being flexible. But without discipline, it becomes chaos. You end up with unfinished features, endless rework, and angry stakeholders. Waterfall can fail because it assumes everything can be known upfront. But in dynamic industries, requirements change. And when they do, Waterfall collapses under its own weight. I'll share two quick stories. A Silicon Valley startup tried Agile but without any real training. Developers kept adding features without proper planning. Deadlines slipped, investors lost confidence, and startup eventually shut down. Agile didn't fail. The way it was applied failed. Second example, a government IT project whose waterfall because of strict contracts. Requirements were signed off, design was locked, and coding started, but laws changed midway. And by launch, the system was outdated, billions be wasted. So, which one fails your project? Neither, unless you pick the wrong one for your context. Think of Agile like jazz. Lots of improvisation, but you need skilled players who can listen and adapt. Think of Waterfall like a symphony. Rigid notes, strict timing, but the result can be beautiful. Wrong context, wrong choice, wrong result. Let's come to the next topic. Why this actually matters, Agile or Waterfall. Now let's talk about why this really matters because if it were just about methods, we wouldn't spend so much time debating it. This is about business survival. Projects that fail don't just waste money, they sink entire businesses. Let's take a software product as an example. You choose Waterfall, you plan for a year, design for 6 months, and code for another year. That's 2.5 years before launch. By then, Your competitors have iterated 5 times in Agile and your product is obsolete. You didn't just fail a project, you failed the company. Now flip it. You are in aerospace or pharma. You choose Agile because it's trendy. You do rapid iterations, but regulators need full documentation and compliance. You can't provide it. The product fails certification and millions are wasted. It also affects people. I have seen teams burn out under bad Agile, working nights and weekends because of poor backlog management. I have seen employees disengage under waterfall, waiting months before seeing progress. And let's not forget customers. Customers don't care about agile or waterfall. They care about getting value. If your methodology delays delivery or lowers quality, they move to competitors. This is why the choice matters. It's not academic, it's survival. What is agile now? What is agile really? Let's clear up the biggest myth. Agile is not chaos. Agile is discipline disguised as flexibility. Agile was born in 2001 when 17 software developers met in Ottawa and wrote the Agile Manifesto. It has 4 values: individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Second, working software over comprehensive documentation. Third, customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Fourth, responding to change over following a rigid plan. Sounds simple, right? But applying it is hard. Agile works in sprints, 2 to 4 weeks cycles. Every sprint delivers a working product increment. Team hold daily stand-ups to stay aligned, sprint reviews to show progress, and retrospectives to improve. Roles matter too. First is the product owner who prioritizes features. Second role is a scrum master who ensures the process is followed. Third is the team itself who builds and delivers. Now let's take an example. Imagine building an app like Uber. In Sprint 1, you create a simple map and login. In Sprint 2, you add booking. Sprint 3 adds payments. Each sprint delivers value and customer can test features early. But here is the danger. Many companies says they are agile, but all they do is abandon planning and call chaos flexibility. That's not agile. That's an excuse. Real agile requires discipline, focus, and structure. Now let's have a reality check on agile. Agile has amazing benefits, but let's get real. It's not a miracle cure. Let me repeat. It's not a miracle cure. Now the pros and cons. Process, adaptability in changing environments. Definitely it's there. Early and continuous delivery. High customer involvement, motivated and engaged teams. What are the cons? Documentation often ignored, leading to technical debt. Hard to scale beyond small teams. Requires cultural change, not just process change. Can burn out teams if poorly managed. Take Spotify. Their agile model of squads and tribes made them famous. They innovated fast and scaled globally, but they also admitted it wasn't perfect. Some teams struggle with autonomy. Contrast, contrast that with a large bank that forced agile overnight. Old hierarchies stayed, managers resisted, and employees were confused. Millions wasted again, zero success. What is the lesson? Agile works when your culture is ready. If not, it's like giving a sports car to someone who has never driven. Crashes are inevitable, therefore. Now let's discuss about waterfall. Till now we have discussed about agile. Now let's talk about waterfall. Okay. Now, waterfall, it's a traditional, linear, and sequential. The phases are requirements, that's the first one. Second is design. Third is implementation. Fourth is verification. Fifth is maintenance. Each step must finish before the next begins. This method is perfect when requirements are clear and stable. Okay, let me repeat again. This method is perfect when requirements are clear and stable. For example, construction projects, aerospace design, pharmaceuticals, defense contracts. Why? Because in these industries you can't afford surprises. You can't decide halfway through a bridge construction to add two more lanes. Strengths. First, clear structure and predictability. Detailed documentation, easy to manage compliance. Weaknesses, inflexible when requirements change. Expensive to fix late mistakes. Customer waits years before seeing value. So, is waterfall dead? No, it's alive and thriving in industries when change is minimal and compliance is critical. Let's see an example of waterfall failure. It's a very good example, so please listen carefully. Let's talk about the healthcare.gov disaster. The US government wanted an online health insurance marketplace. They used waterfall. Here's what happened. Months spent on requirement. Second, months on design. They spent months on requirements and design. Then development without real testing. By the time they launched, requirements had changed. The site couldn't handle user demand. It crashes, login failures, and there was chaos. The media called it tech disaster. Politicians fought, citizens were frustrated, and it cost taxpayers billions of dollars. Was waterfall to blame? Not entirely. The problem was using waterfall in a volatile environment where requirements shifted daily. What was the lesson learned? Waterfall shines in stability but collapses in uncertainty. What is the hybrid secret? Okay, here's the secret. You don't have to choose. The hybrid model combines both. Hybrid means using waterfall for upfront planning and compliance and agile for development and testing. So let me repeat again. Hybrid means using waterfall for upfront planning and compliance and agile for development and testing. Example, an automotive company, engine design, safety checks, waterfalls, infotainment software, user interface, agile. Another example, a bank, budgeting and regulatory reporting, they used waterfall. However, for customer facing apps, they used agile. This is not compromise, it's a strategy. Hybrid lets you balance structure with adaptability. Now, after the secret, let us discuss about hybrid success story. Okay, it's NASA's Mars rover mission. That's a perfect example. Okay, for hardware, we used waterfall. Everything needed rigorous documentation and planning. Software, agile, navigation and autonomy required iterations and rapid testing. So now you know why we used agile for software and waterfall for hardware. Okay. Now by combining both, NASA delivered one of the most successful space mission ever. And here is the lesson. Hybrid is not just for billion-dollar space missions. Hybrid is isn't just for billion-dollar space mission. You can use it in startups, IT rollouts, even even events planning. Structure where needed, flexibility where possible. Okay, now the hidden cost of wrong choices. If your choices are wrong, then what are the hidden cost? So wrong choices here means if you choose agile instead of waterfall or waterfall instead of agile for a given scenario, then there would be a lot of hidden costs. Agile gone wrong. If agile gone wrong, there will be a technical debt, unfinished features, burnout teams. If waterfall gone wrong, missed opportunities, outdated products, frustrated employees. Both can destroy return on investment, which is ROI. Imagine working 2 years on a project only to find the market moved on. That's the cost of blind choices. And don't forget morale. Chaos kills motivation. Rigidity kills creativity. Both lead to attrition. That's very important. You should note it. Chaos kills motivation and rigidity kills creativity, and both lead to attrition. So, methodology choice isn't just about processes, it's about money, people, and long term success. Okay, now we are on the last slide. So, here are the key takeaways and actions. Okay, so wrapping this up with 4 points. First, what we learned: Agile is not always best. Waterfall is not obsolete. Second, misapplication. If you misapplied the models, to what will happen? It's not the methodology causes failure. Third, match your method to your project context. You should match the method to in your project's context. Just don't go to Agile or Waterfall because you feel so or others are also following. So what you need to do, you need to analyze the context in which the right model is required. Hybrid is often the winning balance, as we have gone through in that slide where we discussed the hybrid model. So before you next project, ask yourself, are requirements stable? Is compliance critical? How fast will requirement change? Is the team mature enough for agile? The answers will guide your choice. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Have you seen a project fail because of the wrong methodology? Please comment in the comment section if in your project, if you have observed a project failure because the wrong methodology was selected. So I would request, please put your comments so that I can also go through those cases. So it will add up to my library and to my experience, and I can also share those experiences with my audience. So that would be quite helpful for me too. Before we end this, remember, the real secret isn't agile or waterfall. It's choosing wisely. Choosing wisely what? Choosing wisely the right model for the right context. So here it ends. We will meet again in the next video. Till then, please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. Thank you so much.